I'm recording this on September 12th, which means that I'm a little over a third of the way through my September no buy slash no booze challenge. And although those are two separate goals and might appeal to two separate content niches, I thought I would combine them into one just because my birthday was this past summer. So that kind of kicked off a bit of a greed bucket era for me personally, and also a season of revelry. So I kind of hit a wall where I was like, okay, I need to slow down, take a beat, and maybe reset some of these habits that I've entrenched. Um, and, you know, you could say, well, that might be too much to combine into one challenge. They say to, I don't know, if you're trying to implement too many changes at once, it can be overwhelming and undoable, especially if you're like, for me, some of my causes of both overconsumption and overconsumption of alcohol are kind of interlinked and similar. And it's like, okay, if I'm trying to strip away too many of those sources of, dopamine and entertainment and self-soothing and whatever at one time, without having enough viable alternatives, I might be setting myself up for failure. But on the other hand, there's a case to be made for just the power of like stacking and the momentum. It's like, well, I'm already doing this one thing, so if I kind of connect this other thing to it, it kind of maybe they reinforce each other. So, anyway, I'm just doing both of those things for September. Um, in the no buy category, which I'll talk about first. So my no buy is for makeup, fragrance, hair care, body care, apparel, so jewelries, accessories, clothing, um, shoes, and then also things like incense, candles, essential oil, um, and also decor, knickknacks, also stationery, pens, craft supplies, art supplies. And the reasons that I wanted to do a no buy for these for the month of September are, you know, pretty common, save money, to use what I have already, and also become more aware of what I already have. Because, if you're like me, a lot of times you might end up finding yourself buying duplicates in a certain category. Um, Maybe not exact one to one duplicates, but things that are like, oh, I already have something that kind of does this, like a brown lipstick. And, if I'm just out and I see it and I'm giving myself like unconditional permission to just obey my impulses, I might purchase it because I'm like, oh, I like how this looks and it's really pretty. And then it's like, well, yeah, I tend to think that, and I've already bought things that are similar to this. So, yeah, just being more cognizant of what I already have, um, being more cognizant of my actual impulses and I guess my triggers and what's driving me to want to consume things. And just getting off of the hamster wheel of desire and um, hopefully experiencing contentment. So instead of, getting something immediately, becoming bored or sated, or not even sated, but just dissatisfied, and then immediately being like, I need to find something new to want, and I need to start researching what I'm going to get. And there are two separate like types of shopping behavior, I guess, for me. There's like the really hyper focus on a specific type of thing and spend a lot of time and energy like figuring out what you're going to get in that category. Like, for example, last winter I really wanted like a grayish lipstick, and I it consumed a lot of my attention trying to like figure out what grayish lipstick I was going to get, and it became sort of a pseudo purpose, you know what I mean? Like a project I could use to, I don't know, occupy brain space that I needed to occupy, even though it was over something relatively trivial. So there's that kind, which is like really that consuming, sort of obsessive type of shopping behavior, and where, it's accompanied by this really intense feeling of like, I need to get the thing that I'm focused on. And there's like this sense of unrest until I get it. And then, of course, the satisfaction of getting it is extremely fleeting. Um, and then there's also just the impulse shopping. Um, so I would say the former happens more online and the latter happens more just like out. Like if I just go into TJ Maxx and I'm like, oh, that blush looks fun, and I just get it and I reason that it's cheap, and then I realize that it's actually just adding clutter and that it's very similar to blush I already have. So those are like two different categories. So I basically just want to, like, even though both of those things like fill time and do create a false sense of purpose. They're also stressful because there's just the stress of like always thinking about the same thing, and um, also the stress of like, where do I spend my money? I have a limited amount of money, so it's like, how am I going to allocate it? How am I going to fit it in? And basically, spending money you don't have on shit you don't need is it's fun, but it causes a lot of stress. So I just want to like not have that feeling. And I know there are like some higher level reasons that people do these challenges. This is kind of the level I'm at right now, and I'm kind of harnessing, I guess, just the novelty of the challenge. Like the challenge itself becomes the new object of consumption, which I've noticed with a lot of like anti-consumer um, content. Like there's one like anti-consumer channel that I think has gotten pretty popular that I watch a good bit of, and I like it, but it's like a reaction channel to other people's hauls and stuff. And while I think it is good, kind of counter programming to a lot of that like buy consumption content, at the same time it's like, I don't know, somebody said something about like an acid trip, like you only need to do, I've never done hallucinogens because I'm mentally, I wouldn't say fragile, but I don't need to. But there's some quote about like, once you get the message, you can hang up the phone. Like you don't have to keep dropping acid and to have these like trips. Um and it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, okay, like I feel like all of the anti-consumption content can really be distilled down, or like at least those like reaction type videos can really be distilled down into like one video. But the nature of the social media as like a vocation is such that you have to just keep creating content, even if it's like very repetitive and redundant. And I mean, I'm no different. Like nothing I'm doing or saying on this channel at all is like in any way original. But I think like the these little projects and things like that can become, and focus on low consumption, can become kind of another form. It's obviously it's not the same in terms of the impact, environmentally or financially or anything like that, but it's almost like you're replacing one obsessive thing with another in a way. Kind of like an addict who quits doing drugs and then starts, I don't know, smoking or something. I don't know. And I'm not, yeah, I mean, I consume that content. I find it useful. Um, but I think the ultimate like goal is hopefully to like move beyond that altogether and have it just be irrelevant. But this is where I'm at right now, and probably where a lot of people are at, and that's fine. Um, the second prong of my little September challenge is just not drinking. And the reason for that is mostly just because I'm tired of feeling like shit. I'm not a daily drinker, but I do tend to drink way too much when I do drink. I have a hard time knowing when to quit, pretty much in a lot of different categories. And um, so, yeah, I just want to basically take better care of my health. Um, cut out the unnecessary, the empty calories. I know in 1 month I'm not going to see any major differences in terms of like my skin or my weight or anything like that. Um, but yeah, just to not feel crummy and to prove to myself that I can do it. I'm a little bit worried because at the end of the month, I've got a couple of concerts that I'm going to, and that tends to be a big trigger just because I get bored standing around at concerts, like in between bands, and also because I don't know, I just enjoy like live music more when I got a little bit of a buzz. So I'm trying to figure out like how I'm going to approach those events. Like there was one on the 27th and one on the 30th. So I'm kind of like, as much as I would like to have like the clean month, I'm also like, should I just go ahead and end it early so I don't basically fuck up in the moment and then feel like a failure? Like if I just already decide ahead of time I'm going to do something, it's less of a sense of failure than just messing up in the moment. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. Because one of those in particular, it's like it's kind of my boyfriend's birthday present. I got him tickets to this one band, and we're going to go out of town, and we're getting an Airbnb so we can like stay the night. Like technically we could drive, it's close enough that we could drive home that night, but he hates driving at night, and I think the other reason is that he wants to be able to drink at the show. And it's kind of like, okay, if he's drinking and we're making like this kind of weekend trip out of it, the pressure is going to be a lot greater. I mean, not that he's going to be pressuring me to drink, but just atmospherically, it's going to be a lot more pressure. So I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with that. But how I've done so far with both of these things, I've I've done pretty well because I feel like I have the momentum and the confidence of, starting a new project. And um, the only time I had a really hard time last Sunday, so about a week into the project, because I was just in a really low mood. It had been raining all weekend. I didn't get to go out and like do outdoor stuff. And yeah, I was just in a down mood. And um, that evening, I was really thinking about this would be a nice time to have a cocktail because I don't know, I'm just in this funky ass mood and it would be great to like snap myself into another frame of mind, I guess. And I really debated, I was kind of, because I do have some liquor and liqueurs in my house, and I was kind of trying to rationalize. I was like, well, I could make it be a thing where, you know, I do the challenge, but just not on Sundays. And then I'm like, no, just stay the course. So I didn't. I didn't drink anything, so I feel good about that. And I wrote out that craving, and then I ended up feeling a lot better the next couple of days. So I haven't really been hit with a hard craving since then. Um, and the shopping thing, I've really just been dealing with by well, honestly, I've been doing like some browsing and like fantasy shopping, but I've been mostly trying to like play with my makeup. And also, I'm supposed to meet up with my friend this weekend, and she's decluttering a bunch of stuff, so she's going to let me go through it. So, even though one of my kind of wishes is to avoid clutter and have the sense of accomplishment of like going through and using up products, um, I am, I don't know, I still want to go through the makeup and see if there's anything I want to take, but I'm going to try to be like parsimonious and really just take things that I think I will actually use. But it's interesting because I've found when I've done other no buy periods like this, I've noticed like almost sort of magically that makeup will still come into my life anyway, even if I'm not like buying it. So um it's just kind of a reminder of like the abundance of things that there are in the world, and that You don't need to like immediately, just because you have a momentary want of something, you don't have to like get it at that moment, so that there are other things coming. And I don't know, whatever. It's getting a little woo woo, but that's where I am with it. I'll probably post some more updates about how I'm doing. Hopefully, there won't be any shameful, like, oh no, I messed up. Which there won't be. After this month, I'm hoping to segue into some kind of low buy project panning type situation. And I haven't decided exactly what that's going to look like, but I will post something about that in the coming days or weeks as well. If you want to just keep up with my progress with all that, I'll be here, God willing. So, yeah, thanks for watching and hope you have a good day.